cherries. I really missed you and I hope you missed me too. How are you? How is life treating you? I hope you're doing okay. But even if you're not, remember that there will be time when things will get in the right order for you. Today, as I mentioned in the last episode, we're having a very special guest that comes all the way from Turkey. And as you already see the title, you know what we're gonna be talking about, but you don't know who our guest is and what their story is. So I suggest that I just give them the word and shut up. So, welcome, Irmak. Would you like to tell us a bit about yourself?
Hi, my name is Irmak. Thank you for inviting me in your podcast. I'm 20 years old. I'm from Turkey. I study in AUBG, an American university in Bulgaria. And in my free time, I like to take a walk and journal, especially journal because I really like to journal. I think I can say that I'm someone who feels things very deeply. I'm a psychology student, but before that, I'm just a person who has struggled and questioned herself and tried to understand her own mind. I'm curious about people and why we become who we become. I think my sensitivity used to feel like a weakness, but now I see it as something that allows me to connect and understand others on a deeper level.
That is wonderful, and thank you for being here as well, Irmak. Now, my next question is a question that I've asked before, and I really like this question, and I think that I'm gonna keep it and ask this question to everyone who comes in this podcast. So, what do you see when you look at yourself in the mirror, when you see your reflection?
That's a tough question. I would say some days I see strength, other days I see exhaustion. When I look in the mirror, I don't just see a face. I see someone who is fighting battles that nobody can see. I see someone who smiles in public, but sometimes feels heavy inside. I see someone who survived things she once thought she couldn't. I see someone who is still learning to have to love herself. And I think what I can give as a honest answer is that I see someone in progress.
Wow. That's really honest of you. Thank you. Thank you for that honesty. I really like the fact that you just described yourself as a potential person who is going somewhere. It's not down, it's not up, it's just going towards their goal, and I really like that. So, what is your current passion in life? What gives meaning to your days and keeps you alive? What is the reason that you wake up for every morning?
Right now, what gives me meaning is turning pain into understanding. Studying psychology isn't just academic for me, it's much personal and much deeper. Every concept I learn in psychology helps me understand myself a little more. I wake up every morning because I still believe there is growth ahead of me. Even on the days when everything feels heavy, there is a small part of me that wants to become stronger and wiser and softer at the same time. Helping others feel less alone. Also, that's what gives me meaning. If my story makes even one person feel understood, that really matters to me.
Absolutely. I do agree with you on all these points. In fact, I believe that psychology should be studied even in high school and schools in general because this is something really important. I mean, this is of the study of understanding yourself and knowing your needs and wants. And I think it's really important because it's personal. And on top of that, it gives you meaning, as you said, and meaning is important. Turning something awful and horrible into something beautiful, it's hard, but once you do it, you're just proud of yourself and you find a meaning in that. That's how I personally transformed my childhood traumas into something more meaningful, creating a book about it and sharing it with people who might need to read that. So I suggest that we just get straight to the point. Irmak, when was the first time you experienced depression and how would you describe it?
Yeah, the first time I experienced depression, I didn't know that's what it was. I thought I was just tired or dramatic. It wasn't loud sadness, it was simply quiet emptiness. It was waking up and feeling like everything required too much energy, even taking a shower. It was losing excitement for things that used to make me happy. It felt like being physically present, like living, but emotionally disconnected from the whole world. The hardest part wasn't the sadness, it was actually numbness to every feeling.
That's really sad to hear. And did you eventually get out of this state?
I wouldn't say I got out of it completely. I learned how to manage it. I still have days where I feel depressed and where I see myself having signs of it. What helped me was slowly building small habits like walking, journaling, as I said before, and especially understanding my thoughts instead of believing every negative one. Education really helps me. Learning that depression has patterns helps me not personalize it as a character flaw. Learning that depression has patterns helped me a lot. And honestly, accepting that healing is not linear. And that mindset really changed my perspective. Like, some days are strong days, some days are survival days, and they both count.
Yeah, that's really true. Um, some things you just don't get out of. You just learn how to tolerate them. You just learn how to live with them. And that is with most wounds and scars we carry as well. So, are you an insecure person? Is there something you don't really like about yourself and you would change if you could?
Yes, I have insecurities. I think many people who struggle with anxiety and depression do. For a long time, I chased a perfect version of myself, like perfect grades, perfect image. But the thing is, perfection is exhausting. It feeds anxiety. Now, if I had to choose, I would choose my real self, even if she's flawed, even if she's still healing, because the real version of me is human, and that's completely enough.
Wow, this is really, really beautiful. And you even answered my next question, which was gonna be, would you choose a perfect self or yourself? But I'm glad I heard this specific answer. um, when it comes to personality traits, do you consider yourself as a quiet or a loud person? Are you an introvert or extrovert? And if you feel anxious often, what it is about? And most importantly, how do you fight it?
I'm more of an introvert. I'm often quiet. I quietly observe the environment before I speak. I would say I'm reflective, Yes, I feel anxious, and I feel anxious often actually, especially about the future, expectations, and not being enough. Sometimes even about responsibilities that I have. My anxiety often comes from wanting control in situations where control actually doesn't exist. But I don't fight it. I just let my feelings go. I leave them because after I let them, I feel fresh and calm. When anxiety hits, I try grounding techniques, breathing exercises, and I remind myself that the thoughts are not facts. As I said before, I simply sit with the discomfort and anxiety instead of trying to escape it. The biggest shift was realizing anxiety is my nervous system trying to protect me, even if it does it in a really not comfortable way.
Yes, I hear you. In fact, there's so many days where I don't feel enough either. So I do understand how you feel. And it's really amazing that you still try, and just try. I remember in one of our conversations you mentioned that you used to get panic attacks very often. Can you explain us the first time you got a panic attack? What was the cause? How you would describe it as an experience? How did you feel? And are you over it, or is it still with you?
My first panic attack felt like I was absolutely losing control of my own body. My heart was racing, my thoughts were spiraling, and I felt like something terrible was about to happen, even though like nothing actually was happening. It's hard to explain to someone who hasn't experienced it. It feels very, very real, very physical. Am I over it? I would say I understand it better now. I don't fear it the way I used to. It rarely happens now. I don't have them often anymore. And when it happens, I recognize it faster. That awareness gives me power actually.
Absolutely. I understand what you mean, and yeah, it's really hard to explain something that someone hasn't experienced, because even though you explain it the way you understand it, they wouldn't understand it. And sadly, a lot of people get judged for that as well. But I'm glad that you have found this power to understand it better and know when it's coming and be prepared. And speaking of preparation, do you think that awareness is important? And do you think that people need to visit a therapist once in a while, even if, there's not a major problem? And do you think that psychology should be a subject at school? Do you think that maybe would help children and teenagers from a very young age to adapt to these issues and understand themselves better?
Honestly, awareness is everything. Many of us grow up thinking anxiety is weakness or depression is laziness. At least I did. And education changes that narrative. Therapy, in my opinion, shouldn't only be for crisis. It can be preventive, like going to the gym for your mental health. Even one session can give someone language for what they're feeling. And going back to your question, Should psychology be a subject at school? Absolutely. Children are taught math, history, science, but not how to regulate emotions and recognize anxiety and build healthy self-esteem. If I had understood anxiety earlier in my life, I would have been much kinder to myself. I think psychology education reduces stigma and increases emotional intelligence.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And thank you for your honesty, Irmak. I really appreciate you accepted my invitation and talked about those very emotional topics. Is there anything you want to add? Anything that hasn't been said throughout our conversation? Maybe a message that you want to leave the listeners with?
My message would be, if you're struggling silently, I want you to know that you're not weak. You're not dramatic. You're not broken. Mental battles are invisible, but they're real. And you don't need to hit rock bottom to deserve support. Healing doesn't mean you never struggle again. I do. I still do. It means you learn how to carry yourself through the struggle with more compassion. And if you're in a dark place right now, please, please, please don't isolate yourself. Talk to someone, get help. You don't have to fight alone. And thank you again for inviting me in your podcast. I really appreciate it. It really means a lot for me. So thank you.
Thank you, Irmak, for being my guest. And thank you, all of you who just listened to this podcast. And if you like the episode, please tap the like button and leave a comment on what you would like to hear next. Love you, cherries. Bye.